Good morning, everybody. Uneducated economist here. So, I was talking with my wife this morning, and she had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and they told her that they know more depressed people now than they ever have. And I thought to myself, yeah, I know quite a few depressed people as well. And just the overall feeling of like being in a bad mood or grumpy seems to be the case with a lot of people out there. That I'm finding more and more of it. Now, some people I interact with, they're like every day is just a great day for them, and it's just there's nothing wrong. But for a lot of people who I normally see just having just a normal fine day, have been more with the frown on their face or just this feeling of like not being happy, just like almost in a depressed feeling, like I just don't like being here, I don't want to do this, whatever that happens to be. But I see it when I go to the grocery store, I'm seeing it when I'm at work, I'm seeing it with my customers. It seems to be around. Now, a lot of times when I'm aware of it and I start looking for it, I become more observant of it, when before it would just it might have just been occurring and I didn't see it. But being aware of it now, I'm watching for it and I do see it happening a lot more. And for my wife to have a conversation with somebody who brings it up, it just leads me to believe that no, this is actually occurring, that there is a higher level of depression taking place right now. And it makes a lot of sense when you have this inability, like the inability to buy food or pay for energy or go out there and enjoy yourself. The inflation that is out there is limiting the amount of stuff that people can do, and this inability is depressing. I mean, you think about it, it's the inability in just about anything that kind of causes depression. Now, I'm no scientist, I'm no doctor, I'm no therapist. I'm not one to tell you what's going on in your head or your mind or your thoughts that is causing depression, but I can tell you from my own dealings with it that a lot of it came from just the inability. When I was in my deepest depression, it was when I was losing the house and couldn't figure out what it was that I was going to try to do to get out of debt. I was just like I was losing hope, and this inability was just driving me down. But then, it occurs in a lot of stuff. The inability to communicate within a relationship. This can cause depression, or the lack of being able to say move from a particular area you're in, and now you just feel depressed from this, inability to even get away from where you're at. There's a lot of things that will cause depression that simply has to do with just this inability. And now I think about when the price inflation hits and people start spending more of their income on food and energy and the things that are required for their life, that leaves less for the things that they want to do. It takes away from their inability, from their ability. So now they're feeling like down from this, right? It's just like I can't go on vacation because I won't be able to afford the gas and the food and the hotel, or I can't do anything because now I'm on a fixed income, and now like I have even less money, so now it's even worse for me. There's a lot of things that can cause this due to this inability that would cause depression. And so I think about like what's gonna occur here, because the Federal Reserve has pretty much said we are going to try and slow down this consumer demand that's taken away your abilities, right? They are going to cause depression, and it's already starting to take place. I mean, they haven't really even started to raise interest rates yet, and look at what it's done. Look at what it's done to the people out there as far as their availability to buy a home. What, interest rates are at 6.5 today. They dropped just a little bit, but 6.5 on a 30-year loan. I mean, they were just over 3% not even at the beginning of the year. They've almost doubled. In fact, they have doubled in less than 5 months. So this has taken away people's ability. Interest rates are going to rise on car loans. People won't be able to buy as many cars. This is going to take away their ability to buy a car. And now I know from past experience that when I had no vehicle, I dreamed of being able to drive a nice, beautiful new car. I was like, man, I am so tired of walking to work in the rain. And I see all these cars passing by, and I'm thinking, man, it would be so nice just to be cruising in a nice, new, comfortable ride. And then I had the ability to buy a new car, and I didn't want one. I like this car. It's a $500 car. And every month I wait to buy a new car is a better car that I could buy if I wanted a new car. I don't want a new car now. I just wanted the ability to buy a new car. And now that I have that ability to buy a new car, I really don't want a new car. I mean, I want one. I want one for like 10 minutes as I drive it to work. But then after that, I don't want the payment. I don't want the stress of maintaining it as well. I mean, other than changing the oil, there's like, I mean, I think I've washed this car like 4 times the entire time I've owned it, but it rains all the time in Oregon, so you just don't wash your car as much, especially when you got an old beater like this one. But that's where I'm kind of getting at, is that it's not so much that it was having that new car, it was the ability to buy a new car. And then once you had the stress of not having to walk to work, but now you have a warm, dry way to get to work, then you don't really care so much about having the new car. And feeling like you need this in your life, or the depressive feeling of like having to walk to work instead of getting to drive, that all fades away. Like the ability gave you sense of like what is it, like relief, from it. Like you don't need that in your life anymore. So when I think about the Federal Reserve and raising these interest rates, I mean, think about it. They're going from 0.75 on the Fed funds rate. Like they were at 0 to 0.25. They're up around, 0.75 right now. They want it at 3.5%. Some of the Fed presidents are talking 3.5% by the end of the year. Holy moly. I mean, you're talking some serious interest rate risings. And that is going to be incredibly significant on the people. The ability to buy a car with a loan, and the payment that you have to make on that is going to be extreme. If it's an $80,000 vehicle, most people probably won't do it. I mean, they just won't have the ability to do it. Their disposable income is going to be eaten up by all the high price of food and everything else and energy that's going into it. It's just not going to happen. I mean, that's the whole point of what the Federal Reserve is trying to do. They're saying, we are trying to slow down this consumer demand. We are trying to get people to say, we're not doing this anymore. We're not going to go out there and spend this money on these expensive items, on these expensive homes. It's what the Federal Reserve is trying to do. They're trying to take away your ability. And that's going to be depressing. It's going to be super depressing. I mean, think about it like this. Here, I'm not getting my thoughts out quite clear, but I think this analogy will probably do it. You're at the bar, you're partying up, you're hanging out with all your friends, you got your one buddy who just loves to drink, and it's the end of the night, and the bartender says, okay, that's it, I'm done serving. Right? And your buddy gets pissed. He's like, how can you be done? You're not even closed yet. You didn't even call last call. How can you be? And it was just like, well, bro, you got a full beer and a shot. Don't stress it, man. We're still hanging out. You can just nurse that for the rest of the night. You don't need any more. You're drunk. Yeah, but you didn't even give us any warning. You see what I'm kind of getting at? This is why people get pissed, is because they all of a sudden lost their ability to drink more. I've seen it happen, and even after you try and calm them down and chill them out, it's like, man, you got what you want. You don't need any more. But you lost your ability. Chill out. You don't need it. And that's where people are going to lose it, because it's like a drug. It's like alcohol or anything that's addictive. Gambling, sex. Once you get cut off, if you think, like, it's one thing to not get it. It's like, man, I haven't had it for a while. I really feel like this urgency to get it. But then if you are addicted to this stuff, and all of a sudden you are cut off from it, saying like, hey, you're not going to get it, you're denied, right? That will then spark this insanity within the mind to try and go and get it. And then if you know that the situation has put you into a point where you are definitely not going to be able to even attempt to get it, you will lose it. You will get depressed. You will end up in a state of mind where that is the only thing that consumes your thoughts, and everything else, all the important things in life, will be behind that, and you won't be able to concentrate on anything other than that attempt to try and get whatever it is that you're addicted to, whether it be sex, drugs, alcohol, debt. It doesn't matter what it is. If it consumes your mind on that kind of level and you can't get it, that inability, that is what will really cause the depression. And so the Federal Reserve, they are going to inflict depression. They are trying to tell us, we no longer want to give you that ability. We're taking it away. Think about it like that. All right. Uneducated economist, you guys let me know.